equate her to Radar from the show MASH. She's just intuitive. She's just focused. And when you do get an assistant, it's real important that they have a good work ethic. You can really waste a lot of time trying to chase your assistant to do the job. When you find the right person, they can really elevate you. Jenny and Talia are two full-time buyer's agents. They work with me with a few listings. My wife, she enjoyed a passion of horseback riding and decided that maybe she should get back into real estate to help support her habit. So she cherry picks a few buyers here and there and really enjoys her life. And then happy life is a happy life, and I'm sticking with that. Okay. So then April is my listing manager. She was one of the best things that I created to my business. I used to have someone before, Fran, who used to do feedback phone calls for me, but never met with the customers and never saw the properties. And feedback is a real important part of our business. On the listing side, that communication with the customer, let them know what's going on. And so then I decided that it was time to elevate that position. I brought in April, and April's phenomenal. She comes with me on all my listing appointments, which is really great just for the bonding experience. Sometimes it's just great to have that other person there. And then April's involved with writing up the brochure, advertising. She does the MLS inputting. She does all the feedback phone calls. You've probably heard her call on my behalf in the past. And but she's in constant communication with the customers. And so we have customers that will hear from her 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week. And so with that, they met her, they like her, and they're hearing from myself, my team, constantly. And that's such a benefit as things are not going so well. They're not getting enough showings. Is that they're at least that communication is still happening on a constant basis. And then I have another person who does expired cancel calls for me because I won't do them. I think you all should. I won't. So I hired somebody else who does, and she gets a piece of the commission with every transaction that comes from it. And I tell you, there's a real nice benefit when you're at the point where you can take the things that you absolutely positively should do, will not do, and you can hire somebody else to do it for you. That's really cool. Yeah.
I started a team about 1.5 years ago when I got to the point where I wasn't following up as well as I wanted to on all the leads that I had. And even the amount of clients that I was selling homes to, it was enough just to remember everybody I was working with. So I have 2 agents who are on my team, and I don't consider them buyer's agents. I want them to have listings too. I want them to sell everything they can sell. And we have an office manager who's my husband.
I have 5 on my team, including myself. Stella is our receptionist, and she takes the calls that come into the office. And then, for example, something that I neglected to mention earlier, like I'm sitting here right now, I've received a text that a call came into the office, so-and-so wants to talk to you about selling their home, and as soon as I get in the car, I will return that phone call, which I do a lot. And you can ask my wife; she gets pretty upset because even last night even though I say I work till 7:30, I was on the phone till about 9:30 last night, and I think I talked about a half a dozen people off the cliff between 7:30 and 9:30. And you know what's funny about that? You can tell if the person you're talking to has had a glass of wine or two, or a shot of scotch or whatever their pleasure is. So you might want to make sure that when you're doing that in the later hours that you kind of, gauge it, because they may not remember what you told them to get them off the cliff in the first place. Wells has been with me for about 14 years. She actually manages the office for me. She's my transaction coordinator. She's a part of my family, actually, after all these years, and she's amazing. Cheryl came aboard about 4 years ago. She does all the marketing for me, and I will tell you that I sat on a panel last year in the Skirball Center, and Stephanie Vitacco cracked me up because she said, somebody asked her a question about assistants, and she said, hire slow and fire fast. And I have been blessed with people in my world, in my business world, as long as 14 years. And Cheryl, I'm sure, will be there until I retire. And these people are just so important to how I live my life. And in turn, I take very, very good care of them. Cheryl does all the marketing. I don't necessarily bring her on listing appointments, but she is introduced to the client within a day. And she's got a great eye for decluttering without offending people. She's got a great eye for a lot of those kinds of things. Over the years, we have created, there's a lot of company brochures, there's a lot of things out there, but everything that we use is custom, it's all our own. And I studied marketing and finance and economics in college, and Cheryl is very marketing minded. And so we click really well with that. And as I said, everything we do is custom. We do take advantage of the systems that Troop has. And it's pretty cool. About 2.5 years ago, my son decided to get in the real estate business, so that's been really exciting for me. And unlike his dad, he's very independent, and he wants to do his own thing while he's working with me. And so he's kind of got the best of both worlds because he's able to take advantage of all of the corporate structure at Troop, take advantage of all the classes. He sits floor time over there in that main office. He gets involved in everything over there. He learns, from me. He learns from Cheryl. He learns from Wells. So he's like a sponge. And I'm actually proud to say that by the end of August, he had already exceeded all of last year's production, and he's doing really well with it. But he's there to help all of us. And so we typically, Monday mornings, we have our weekly office meeting, and we lay out our entire week, and we do all the things that we need to do. What's been really great for me with the team is I built it very slowly, and I've been very fortunate to have these people for a long time. And they're never a substitute for you. They're an extension of you. And when you present it that way to your clients, they do not feel like they're hung out to dry. They welcome the phone call from Wells. They welcome the phone call from Cheryl. They welcome the phone call from me. And it's because they know what to expect. There's nothing wrong with saying to your clients when you develop this relationship, what's your preferred method of communication? Well, if they say, I'm a big texter, great. Please understand if I'm in a meeting, it might take me an hour or so to get back to you, but I will get back to you. And I'll tell them, I'm a phone guy. I like Dave. It kills me to spend an hour answering an email because your client is sitting at their desk all day and that's all they have time to do. And you can nip it in the bud in a 3-minute phone conversation. But because of the complexities of the world we live in now, the emails are critical because you have to cover everything you say. And it's after you have a phone conversation, take 2 seconds, send a quick email just to remind you, just as a follow-up, this is what we touched on, blah, blah, blah. That way, nothing gets lost in communication. But your team is there to really make you look good, to support you, and to help you build your business. And if they're motivated financially by what you're doing, you will earn the loyalty, the friendship, and my wife is very good friends with Wells and Cheryl and Stella, which means I have zero privacy because I have none at home and I have none at work. But it works out really, really well, and that's what works for me.
Yeah, and I'm actually, I know I gave you pre-prepared questions, but I've been taking notes, so I actually want to lob another one at you guys. Do you set aside a certain amount of time to do just marketing? So this 2-hour window, I'm just going to call my database of clients just to touch base. Or this is the hour that I'm going to do this project, and you market a certain amount of hours per day.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a good idea. I should start doing that.
And so when you have that, is it a particular time in your schedule? So every Monday or Thursday from noon to 1, do you just shut off your phone and email and you do it?
It's just a scheduled event like everything else, and it's goal set. It's like, okay, how many people am I going to contact today? How many notes am I going to mail out today? And the girls set that all up for me, so I'll walk in. There'll be maybe 10 just the notes I need to send out, and they got to go out that day. And if I don't get them out, boy, do I get a ration of what? And they go out. They're handwritten. Phone calls, past clients. We've been working our past database very, very strongly for a long, long time. And it's fun to talk to somebody 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later that you've been in communication with via mail or email or whatever your drip contact plan may be. But when you finally get them on the phone and they're like, oh yeah, I read about you in the paper, or how's everything going, blah, 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 and you catch up, and your kids are 25, really? Your kids are 15 already? And then you can start joking with them about, hey, guess what? You get to buy them a car or whatever. And, it's a great way just to connect. And it seems to energize me when I do that. If I'm feeling kind of in the lull, I'll just pick up the phone and start calling. And that's what works.
And then to everybody, this was a pre-planned question. Okay, I'll stick with that one also. Do you use a particular system to data manage your leads and transactions, any database of any sort?
I have the top producer system, which I pretty much neglect. I like the spiral binder. I like the 3-ring binder. I have it prioritized A, B, C, D to the priorities, and then I have my upfront A's.
Is that a new app or something, or what is that?
Yes, it is. Follow-up system is whatever you create that you actually work with. I've done several online, top producer, and what was the other one we had?
First-
Yeah, Edge has one.
First American had the first one. It was a great. It was a really simple, really good system. It's a long time ago, almost 20 years ago, and then suddenly it went away, and then everything got too complicated.
So Dave, so when you get a new lead or you close, whether it's a buyer or a listing, do you then do you have a database that you put them in so they continue to get your drip marketing?
Yeah,
going
so
forward?
Lay automatically inputs everybody into the database. So that,
Right.
we have systems that happen. You know, it's, if I got my act together, I could really do a lot more business. And I do mean that literally. In many ways, I run a very pathetic business, and yet I do well. And it's, you guys overcomplicate what our business is really about. It's
Right.
really about touching people. And, you know, I want to be the most successful agent who's not stressed out, working myself to the grave. And so I really respect the people we have on this panel. I love listening to them because they really motivate me. And there's things I need to do. And I need to set aside hours to do my data, my prospecting. And I also, but at the same time, I'm really good about just getting the phone calls out, and I keep following through with it. And I'm in the car, and I use car time as prospecting time or follow-up time. There's no dead time. I sack lunch every day. My lunch is, I don't do lunch. It's like Gordon Gekko said in the movie Wall Street, lunch is for wimps. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of making sure every part of your day is a priority. It's about efficiency. My goal every day is to make a very efficient day that's very productive so I can get home to spend my time with my very best friends in the world, and that's my family. That's my goal. And I want to be home for dinner. And so throughout the day, I am making the phone calls. I am doing that. And I look at my day and I think of how pathetic it was is that I didn't have anything organized, which I respect. I need to. At the same time, I also look at the fact is I still did a lot of accomplishments that are leading to follow-up successes. And so it's, and I'm sharing all this because it's very natural to listen to these people and going, oh, I'm so pathetic. I have no systems. You don't have to.
Right.
You don't have to have all these systems to be successful, but you do need to be consistent with whatever you're doing and actually follow through with it. And yes, you're going to have moments of just dismal failure where you just get burned out and fried. I like to listen to motivational and training materials, and then I get really burnt out on it. And then I can do it again.
I like to listen to rock and roll.
Yeah. Now, I was at Van Halen on Sunday.
That
Thoroughly
gets me
enjoyed it.
going.
And Eddie Van Halen does an incredible job still in lead guitar after all these years. But the fact is that you have to mix it up. Again, it comes back to I like just having paper, hard copy. I can write the notes on it.
Yeah.
It works for me.